You're now listening to the smoothest podcast in the world, Cognac Small Talk, hosted by the connoisseur smooth, Anthony J.R.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Cognac Small Talk. This is a podcast series on how I personally feel we should be moving as creatives and business entrepreneurs. I have another guest with me. She's doing a lot of amazing things out in Seattle. She is a social entrepreneur. She's the co-founder of TONL. She's been featured on various platforms like Forbes, INC, Adweek, and so many different things. I have Carryin Okonkwo. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem at all. How's everything been for you?
Wow, it has been amazing these last almost 2 years now since we launched TONL.
Yeah.
And then just personally, things are going really well for me.
Yeah, because, I remember when you came on a podcast, it's so great that we were the first interview.
I know, very first. Literally, I thought about that. I'm like, fresh out.
Yeah, very first. Like, what would you say right now things have changed? Like, how has things changed for you since that launch of TONL?
I mean, for me personally, what it has done is it's made my why even more personified. And so my why is to serve the underserved. Yeah. And the amount of people that have come to us with their stories that they want shared have been really impactful for Joshua and I. And, we just recently launched a project with Nike, actually, where we featured women of color in sports, young women, and just the relationship with their coaches. And it's just so cool to look at the comments and see how many people are deeply impacted by just seeing the imagery and hearing the stories of people. And I'd say, like, from a career standpoint, I have never been one of those people who is too showy. Yeah. I just do the work, and if you recognize me, cool. Yeah. And so it has been fun to be able to be on stage. Yeah. I spoke internationally for the first time. Yeah, I saw that. Last month at the Abu Dhabi Culture Summit. So it's really fun to be able to speak on stage and continue to share my purpose.
Okay, nice. And I want to dive into that very soon. But as I always ask people, since this is Cognac Small Talk, what would you say was your first time that you actually had a glass of cognac?
Oh my gosh, it was probably in high school. I was a bad kid. Actually, I wasn't a bad kid. We just acted like we were grown. Yeah. And so I am fairly certain that I had cognac when I was in high school.
Do you remember what the instance was, or do you remember
we always had house parties. We would wait till our parents left, and we'd have house parties. So it probably was at a house party.
Okay. I always try to tell people that sometimes it's like you gotta start somewhere. Pretty much,
it's true.
So like I had told you, kind of off camera, I know that I want to dive deeper into the TONL and also the summit, but I know we also had a conversation before in which we were kind of talking about. We were talking about Social Security taxes. We were talking about 401ks, saving strategies and stuff. So later on in the interview, I want to kind of shine some light on that, just to be able to know that I know that there's certain things that I can improve on, and there was a lot of information you were providing me. So I want to be able to see if I could help share that with the audience. So going back to the TONL, would you say that now, because pretty much we're going in that whole transition of the diversity matters and all of these different things. Do you think that this would have been where you're at right now as far as TONL being advertised with Nike and Google and all these different things? Tell me how you're feeling about that, because it's not that often that these startup businesses or startup companies get that type of recognition. Right. So absolutely. For them to be able to kind of know, hey, Joshua and Carryin are doing something amazing. We want to kind of tap into that. Tell me how you're feeling with that.
Josh actually has to remind me of that too, because I'm just boom, boom, boom. We keep hitting all of these big targets. To me, it seems normal, but he's just so you know, this is not normal that we are getting this type of recognition and opportunities, and it takes a lot of creatives, especially years, to reach that point. And so I'm feeling very grateful about it. I believe that timing is everything.
Absolutely.
And I do recognize that diversity is a very hot topic. I'll say that I don't think we were necessarily thinking about the popularity of it when we were doing it. It just happened to be in that moment that we were just feeling like, wow, there is something that's missing. And I think that God timed it correctly. Absolutely. That we, launched when we did, because we didn't even launch for an entire year. So we were working on TONL for an entire year before we even launched it. So I feel very grateful for all the opportunities that we have had. And I think that there's a lot of work to be done. It looks cute. It looks pretty, us working with these big brands, but behind the scenes for every big brand, there's like 10 other brands that have not even dabbled into diversity as deeply as they could, at least. How did
you and Josh actually meet, like, in order for you guys to actually create that?
So we actually met through Mektis Moshe. Mektis is one of my best friends, and she was dating Joshua. And I had never heard of Josh before. I know a lot of people in the Black community, specifically creatives, had known about him for years. But I always joke and tell him I was hanging out with my white friends, so I did not know about him at all. But I met him through her and saw that he did a lot of creative work, specifically photography, with Travis Gums, with street etiquette. And I was just mesmerized by all the imagery and definitely kept that in the back of my mind. And then when I was thinking about diversity and the need for more diverse imagery, I thought, imagery, Josh, let me ask Mektis what she thinks. And she's like, yeah, go ahead, reach out to him. I think it's a great idea. And reached out to him. And the story is that when we spoke about it, I wasn't wanting to do this business. I wanted him to do it. So I was presenting it to him for him to do, and he was like, oh, I'm not going to do it unless you do it. And so we just didn't do it. So really, TONL started, in terms of the inception of it, well before a year, at least 2 years, because 7 months went by before we had some pivotal moments happen in the community to influence us to launch. One of them was Philando Castile's death and Alton Sterling's death. So that's how we met.
Wow, so it really was just more so of an idea versus like it actually being a business proposition for it. Okay.
Yeah, I did not want to do it. Wow. I just have a bunch of ideas that every day I think of something and I always think, who could do it? Because I was at capacity at that time. But you make time for the things that are most important.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more now about the summit. It looked like that. Like, I kind of tried to do the research, and I saw a couple of people that were a part of it. But how did you get selected, and how did you be able to get a part of that?
I'm telling you, when you are committed to your purpose, things will just be like a magnet. It's like you're a magnet, basically. So I was just randomly on LinkedIn. I'm not on it too often. And a woman from The Economist, and a woman in India, actually, from The Economist, reached out to me, and she's like, hey, we're a partner for the Abu Dhabi Culture Summit. We're putting together speakers. We would love to have you for the panel on why diversity media is important. And so that was last year that they reached out to me. And that was how the opportunity came about. It basically was a summit about culture and the aspects of arts, media. A lot of people in the marketing and art realm were there. A lot of people who are part of the culture and tourism departments of their organizations. And it's been going on it was a third year this year. So it's been it's very new, but it was amazing.
Was it for you, was it more of representation of yourself as a personal brand, or was it more in representation of TONL? I think,
I thought it was more like, because I was speaking on my own as a woman, it was a representation of me. But then I also feel like the only reason why I was there was because of TONL. So I feel like it was a mix of both. I'm hitting both, showing, obviously my speaking skills and intelligence on the subject, and then through the lens of TONL and imagery. Okay,
so tell me now that we know about TONL, but you as a personal brand. So, when I first, we first met, we started following each other on social media and stuff. I noticed that you had this thing that was called Carryin Thoughts. So explain to me, is that like a personal brand thing for you? Is it like a social education platform that you could just put out easily? Is it like is a public journal? What would you say that is for you?
Carryin Thoughts started on Facebook, and I think it's no secret that I'm very opinionated about things, and I am vocal, and I don't just, sit around and let people just talk and make decisions. I like to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think they say that you have over 30,000 thoughts a day. And for me, I think I have like 60,000 thoughts. I mean, I could be talking to you and I'm still thinking about a million things. Wow, okay. And so for me, I was like, okay, I have all these thoughts. If you were to go into my notes in my phone, and actually one of my friends was making fun of me because I was crying secretly one night when I thought that my phone erased my notes, because that's like my head, that's my brain. Yeah. And so I was like, well, how can I take some of the thoughts I think and put it on paper, just so I could get it out. And so for me, the paper was a virtual paper, it was Facebook. And then I got on Instagram, and I wasn't really inspired by Instagram because I wasn't really inspired by the pictures. Yeah. So I thought, okay, how can I still be on here, be relevant, but still be true to the way I am? And so then I started to integrate Carryin Thoughts into my my descriptions of my photos, Insta stories. And it took a life of its own. Yeah. People on the street would be like, I love that one Carryin Thoughts one. And I didn't realize, I didn't do it for anybody else but myself.
Yeah, but pretty much,
that's what happens when you're true to yourself. Things, opportunities come.
Do you think that you want to take it to another level? Like, do you want to be able to, like, I don't know, maybe publish something that's upon that? Or like,
a lot of people don't know that actually last year I got asked to publish a book.
Wow.
And I felt, maybe you call it imposter syndrome, but I was like, I don't know if I've done enough to warrant a book, but then at the same time, I know how strong my thoughts are and how I can help people. And so rather than doing that book, what I ended up doing is creating a website called Carryin Thoughts to focus it more on like Carryin Thoughts on business. And then maybe in the future, migrating that to more of my personal thoughts that I put on like Facebook and Instagram. So we'll see.
Nice. So would you say that let me actually backtrack just a little bit just to give people clarification. So you're a Nigerian woman. Yeah. I'm a Nigerian man. And, sometimes we have these restrictions or limitations based off of like careers that we want to go to, just because our parents think that we should do something otherwise. So do you have, I guess, like maybe a story or something that they wanted you to do, but then now that you're doing this social entrepreneuring stuff, like it's like, has it kind of changed their mind as far as like what you have going on now? Or
it's twofold, because I went to school to be a pediatrician, and my junior year, I actually had an epiphany and realized that I didn't want to be a doctor. But I was on a scholarship, and it was my junior year, so I was like, what am I going to do? Because I'm not happy with the science route I was taking. Yeah. And actually, I tell a story to anybody who I have one-on-ones with, is that it was actually a homeless person who helped me make the decision to officially move away from being a doctor. Because when I was walking to, ironically, the African Festival in Phoenix, there was a homeless man who actually pointed at me as I was rushing up because I was running late. And I wasn't running late, but whatever. He was like, he said, you're a businesswoman. You're going to tell people what to do someday. And I feel like God sends angels to spread a message to you. And you may miss that mark if you're not self-aware. But for me, I was very in tune with self. And I was like, when I looked at him, I said, who are you talking to? He just was quiet. He was just staring at me. I'm like, hello? Like, are you talking to me? Yeah. Would not say a word. That was all he was meant to say. And that night, I'm not even kidding, I went home and I dropped all of my science classes. What? I filled them with like whatever electives you need to graduate anyway, as I thought of what I would do. Well, lo and behold, on the homepage of Arizona State University, it said new major, business communication, apply. It was a new major that they came up with literally that same day. And so I applied and I got in. Now you asked me, did I get any pushback from my parents? Well, of course, they called a family meeting because, they're like, what do you mean you're not going to be a doctor? Yeah. And I had to explain to them, I'm like, no, I'm still going to be in the business side of, because I was like, I still want to be in healthcare, but just the business side. Yeah. Because I knew that Michelle Obama had done something like hospital administration. So anyway, long story short, I was in the business school. It gave me more opportunities. I ended up finding medical sales. So I actually, in a way, was having sort of an entrepreneurial sort of job because medical sales is very much you on your own. You have targets. So, and my dad is, so I said it's twofold. My dad is an entrepreneur. So, in a way, it's like you can't really say anything about the entrepreneur thing because you're doing that too. Yeah.
Wow. You know, it's crazy because, you know, I think about it even on my end. It's like, I always knew that I was going to kind of like do the media stuff, like, you know, do media entertainment. But at that time, when I kind of explained it to my parents, you know, I got pushback. I got a lot of pushback. So that's why it's like kind of like I'm still in tech. I'm still doing the things, but I'm doing this stuff on the side. So I guess what would you say as far as advice for me, this just being a random question, what would you say would be the best time to, I guess, make that transition if you know that you're trying to, you know, make money on the side, doing, you know, pursuing things that you want to do, but then you still want to fulfill your parents' your aspirations for yourself. Like, what would you say?
I think that parents in general just want to make sure that you're okay financially. And so I tell people that, you know, you're ready to leave from the corporate thing when it costs you more to stay than to leave. And so until you get to that point, you just want to just dance and, you know, dance in corporate America, dance in what you're doing, but you need to be able to set out goals in place. You're not just, you know, throwing something in to see if it sticks. You know, you actually have direction. You know when, like, if you walk into my house or you even just call any of my friends right now, they know the day that I'm stepping away from corporate America because it's been on my wall for years. So there's things I've done in place to make that happen. So that's what I would say is you'll know when it costs you more to stay in corporate America than to leave. Okay,
so question on that. I don't want you to tell the exact date. But would you say that is within 5 years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not even, it's just a year. And within the year. Yeah. Yeah, actually, the date on my wall was April 2020. However, it is very likely that will be before that.
Wow. April 2020.
April 2020.
Well, is there any significant date behind that, or it was just one of those?
April is my birthday month.
Okay.
So to me, I want to be free in my birthday. And then 2020, you know, there's something I think very magical about the vision is clear. You're going to be hearing that all throughout leading up to 2020. And I just felt like, there's something about that year that I just feel like I'm going to be good.